Welcome to Sunshine Cathedral's Queer God Squad. It's Monday, June 10th, 2024. I'm Reverend Dr. Darrell Watkins, the Senior Minister here at Sunshine Cathedral.
I am Reverend Dr. Robert Griffin, the Executive Minister. Faith and religion can be complicated for the LGBTQ+ community. Surveys show that evangelical faith is the justification for the greatest attacks on the LGBTQ+ community.
I am Reverend Kevin Tisdall, the Minister of Education. The Queer God Squad is going to explore our religious community. Let's explore the big news of the day and what it means to you.
I am Reverend Dr. Ann Atwell, the Minister of Connections. This is live, and then we are available on demand. We are available on all smart televisions and your favorite social media.
Surveys show that religious faith and church are the main causes of trauma in the LGBTQ+ community. At Sunshine Cathedral, we're here to tell you that you are God's miracle, not God's mistake.
This is the Sunshine Cathedral perspective. Dr. Albert Mohler criticizes Pope Francis' inclusive remarks as Christless. Protestants' notable Southern Baptist Theological Seminary president, Dr. Albert Mohler, criticized the Pope's remark as, quote, Christless, end quote, arguing that they are contradicting the teachings of Scripture. During an interview with CBS Evening News anchor Norah O'Donnell, Pope Francis expressed his optimism about humanity, stating that he finds hope in people's resilience and inherent goodness, despite acknowledging the presence of wrongdoing. He emphasized the innate goodness within every individual. In addition to discussing human nature, Pope Francis addressed various pressing global issues, including conflicts in Gaza and Ukraine, immigration, climate change, surrogacy, and the role of women in the Catholic Church. He also touched upon his controversial decision to permit the blessings of same-sex couples. Dr. Albert Mohler, a frequent critic of Pope Francis, criticized the Pope's remarks during the interview. He said, quote, for some evangelical Protestants, it was the first real introduction to the absolute theological vacuum that is represented by the current incumbent of the Vatican, the current Pope of the Roman Catholic Church, Pope Francis, end quote. Mohler also took issue with inclusive comments Pope Francis made during the interview, where he said, quote, everyone, even some with diverse sexual gender, the gospel is for everyone, end quote. It is no secret that Pope Francis has been facing a lot of backlash from conservatives for his LGBTQ+ acceptance.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, mind your own business, Mr. President. I am sure that you got issues in your own seminary that you need to be addressing and taking care of around some of these same issues that the Pope brought up. Surrogacy, climate change, homelessness, food disparity, all these other things, and you're worried about what he is doing as not the incumbent, as the non-vacuum in the Vatican right now. Really, he is the Pope. He is the Pope to the Catholic Church. He is the Pope to the world, and he has his charge before him, just like you have yours. But it's not to criticize somebody for what they are, or what they're not doing. Look in your own house. Mm-hmm. Look in your own house and get your house right before you start jumping into someone else's pond and tell them what they're doing wrong or not doing right. Because I can assure you, if you hold up a mirror to that Baptist conference right now, you will see a whole lot of ugly, and it ain't pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was a whole lot of ugly in his statement.
Well, that's too.
We made a new friend recently. Her name was Angie, and a beautiful trans woman in the Caribbean, and she. Her English was, she was our translator, but her English was not a lot better than my Spanish. But we worked it out. We got through it. And she said something about the Pope, but she didn't, but how she described him was, she said, how do you say it? The bishop to the world. The bishop of the world.
The bishop of the world.
Okay.
I love that so much. The bishop of the world. So that was a little cute Pope story. And I am not a bit, like I can deconstruct. I can have some critiques of the Catholic Church, and some where they have moved way too slowly, but the current Pope does not represent a theological vacuum.
Exactly.
I mean, you don't have to agree with his theology But I think every single thought he thinks is theological. I think everything he does is centered in the God of his understanding. And everything that he does is done for the God of his understanding. So if you see him as a theological, you don't have to agree with his theology, but for you to say that there is a dearth of theology, a vacuum of theology, shows you're not paying attention. That shows your shallowness, not his. The Southern Baptist Church, founded to protect the institution of slavery, and when you bring this up, every once in a while, someone will say, "Oh, well, at some convention or whatever, they made an apology." I don't think that they have made amends to the extent that they made problems. I don't know. But in any case, I think when you were born out of the attempt to protect slavery, maybe you don't have the moral authority to be super judgy about anybody, but also that it was Christless or that it was unbiblical. Do you know what's biblical? Polygamy. Do you know what's biblical? Stoning people for adultery. Do you know what's biblical? Slavery. You know what? When we want something to be biblical, what we're saying is we want to use a verse or a story or a passage to justify our position on something.
That's right.
That's what biblical means to people. It means if I can say it's biblical, it means it's right, which means I'm right, which means you shut up. It's a power play.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Biblical is like saying this is librarial. The Biblos means collection of books. It means library. And so this library of human documents, edited, translated by other humans on top of that, extant documents no longer in existence. So all we have is copies of copies and copies, each copy with some editing involved. So to pretend that it could be perfect, infallible, or univocal is silly and ridiculous. But to say that something is Christless because you disagree with it, or that it's unbiblical, that you oppose slavery makes it unbiblical, makes you unbiblical and also right. But also what stands out the most for me about his statements and about his theology and about the history of his tradition is they almost seem to worship cruelty.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here the Pope, for whatever else, has tried to offer compassion, understanding, tolerance, and these things are Christless and unbiblical. That tells you all you need to know about him.
Oh, yeah.
That tells you all you need, and about whatever religious brand he's representing. That if kindness and compassion and just trying not to be mean to people and trying to understand people where they are and trying to make a little place for them, and I mean a little place.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not inviting these people into the curia, you know, so just a little, trying to be a little tolerant, a little inclusive, and kind, that these things would be unbiblical or Christless, shows you that they worship cruelty.
Yeah.
They worship meanness. They worship rudeness. And which means he's got nothing to say to me. He's just invalidated his whatever complaint he thought he had by showing that he is verbally and vehemently opposing kindness.
Wow.
I have no time for it.
Yep, exactly. You know, anytime the Pope or another organization, church, faith tradition tries to be inclusive, you know, let's welcome people. Let's find out who they are and affirm them for who they are. There's backlash. There's always going to be backlash, frequently from the Southern Baptist Convention. So, I mean, that kind of tells you everything that you need to know about who they are and where they come from. And I don't have time for that. Just no, nothing.
I remember when Francis was elevated to popedom and he began getting rid of a lot of the pomp and circumstance that revolves around who the Pope is. He didn't wear red bottom shoes. He didn't believe that he should sit on a massive throne. I believe that he started using just a plain wooden seat. My main point about that is that I would love to see where the president of the Southern Baptist College lives. I can guarantee that it's a multi-car garage. It's got a number of bedrooms. It's got a swimming pool, probably a tennis court, and a lot of servants. This Pope is not that person.
Yeah.
And I believe that this Pope is more Christ-like than a whole lot of other folk who want to throw stones at him.
And whether he is or not, I believe he wants to be. Like, he makes an effort.
Yes.
He's
We
trying,
can
he's
each
trying.
judge if he makes it or not.
Oh gosh, yes.
But he is clearly
He's
something he
trying.
values.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff about this Pope that I'm not comfortable about, but there is that part of him that, at least, as you just said, tries to say, well, we can do things better. We don't have to be as nasty and as vicious as we have been in the past. And he's willing to take heat not only from his own convention, but from the rest of the world. So, bravo, Francis. Continue to push the envelope as far as you can, and make sure you've got enough folk who are going to be voting for the next Pope who will continue to do the things that you're doing. That's all.
All right.
Well done.
Well, that's today with the Queer God Squad. We want to thank you for joining us. We're here daily at 3 p.m. to have some fun and to discuss what our LGBTQ plus community is talking about.
Sunshine Cathedral is the world's largest progressive queer church. Progressive, queer, and God are words that naturally should go together, and we are all in this together. Remember that.
You are God's miracle, not God's mistake.
Until next time, we are the Queer God Squad. Goodbye.